Hello, beautiful people. My name is Janelle Jade, and today we talk about a very interesting topic. And I'm here to make a very bold statement that if you are a person who prioritizes other people's needs, that contrary to what you might think, that you're selfless, you're actually very selfish. And that very high achieving, people pleasing, that perfectionism, that you need to do everything for everyone and do it in the perfect way, that this is actually rooted into something deeper that does not only explain why you overwork and constantly worry about how other people perceive you, and you may have already physical symptoms in this regard, but also explains as well why you have such a hard time leading, fulfilling relationships. All starts within you. So I'm excited for us to go deep here, and let's get started. Let me break something to you. This will be painful, but what I love doing the most is to just be honest, be raw, and to be very fucking direct. If you're not gonna like it, go to another channel. Here you're gonna get real deep shit, deep talk. We're gonna do deep talk here. So if you're a person who prioritizes other people's needs over your own constantly on a frequent basis, trying to do everything for everyone and making everything right and perfect, then this one is for you. You want to stick with me here on this video. We're gonna go deep, and we're also going to talk about why the very thing that you do that you most likely perceive to be selfless is really fucking selfish in reality instead. Yeah, you heard me say it right. Like, if you're a type of person who puts other people's needs before your own, you're selfish. You are very selfish. Now, what we're going to do here in this video is we are going to talk about this very phenomenon and why I am making such a provocative statement as well. Because you might think to yourself, like, what do you mean I'm being selfish if I put other people's needs before my own? I'm constantly doing something for someone else. That, by that definition, that makes me selfless, right? Yeah, you could perceive it like that, and you probably are perceiving it like that. And this is what we're doing today in today's video. We're going to shift that perception of you, of how selfish you perceive, or selfless you perceive yourself to be. And trust me, I've been there. I've been absolutely in that camp as well, where I go like, well, if I'm doing everything for everyone, by that very definition, I'm a selfish person. I'm altruistic. I'm very kind, right? Up until the moment, and let me ask you this question. If, when you do everything for everyone in the perfect manner, be it at work, be it in your private life, and you're not getting something back for that, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel like, whatever, stuff comes back to me, the universe sends stuff back to me anyway? Or, and I'm going to bet it's this emotion, there's this feeling of resentment. You might feel resentful. You might feel angry in the process. And the reason why I make such a bold statement as to you being selfish is because by trying to fulfill everyone else's needs, you are trying to control their perception of you. So if they perceive you to be perfect, to be, everybody's darling, like the helper in need, you are trying to control the perception that people have of you, because you fundamentally, essentially, deep down, just want to be liked by everyone. And going deeper, that is rooted in a fear of rejection, of abandonment, and that you, at your very core, are not good enough. So, if you are someone who is very ambitious, you might call yourself a perfectionist. And I'm here to tell you that behind being a perfectionist, when you claim yourself to be a perfectionist, it's not something good. I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's not something good. When you say of yourself that you're a perfectionist, what you're actually telling the world is that you have a hard time letting go of control because you need to be perceived by people in a certain way that is in your power, because you're scared that they will perceive you in any other way that would make them dislike you, or that would make them not want to hang out with you or be in your tribe, or not perceive you as a high performer, as a high achieving person. You calling yourself a perfectionist isn't something good. Don't go out there and going like, yeah, but I'm doing so many things at work. I'm, taking on tasks of everyone. Maybe you're a project manager or something else. Doesn't matter what title you have, especially I've seen it with so many people that I've worked with in the corporate world, go out there when they have to send a report or whatever. No, this is for higher management. Let me just, fine tune the very line in the Excel format or whatever, because it needs to be perfect. Yeah, I'm a perfectionist, I'm a perfectionist. That is why I'm now investing 3 hours and 45 fucking minutes to correct the formatting of an Excel file. It's not something good. This is rooted in fear. I know this hurts. It certainly hurt me the first time I heard it, but it was also from that pain. From that pain, there was a huge awakening of, wow, these are actually my patterns. This is why I often feel so drained at work, why I take on way too many tasks, why I feel overwhelmed, why I feel stressed out, why I felt all that anxiety. And if you are someone who feels too stressed out, too anxious about their performance at work and whether they're performing in a certain way, and maybe that already shows in certain type of symptoms that you have. Maybe when you start speaking, your voice cracks, or you feel like a huge pressure on your chest, that you're essentially scared of not performing the way you know yourself, how you can perform, how the high achiever that you are. And I'm here to tell you, my dear love, this is rooted in some deeper pattern that you absolutely want to tackle. And you ideally want to tackle that with someone who can give you proper guidance on it. Because if you haven't figured it out by yourself, why you're having these type of symptoms, be they physical or be they not physical, be they just, reactive, as you're reactive and just saying yes, give me more all the time. You want to tackle that, because at the root of this is a deep need of validation, of approval, and not only of your performance, but also specifically of your worth, of how worthy you are as a person, of how good enough you are as a person. So this is really a fundamental lesson. And this is why I also make such a provocative statement that when you try to put everyone else's needs before your own, when you try to make everything perfect for everyone, you're being very selfish. You're not altruistic, not whatsoever, not at all. You're fundamentally very selfish. You want to control how other people see you, and then they see you as this high achieving individual. And then if you experience more stress or more anxiety than usual, you're constantly worried that they will see it and that you're going to be exposed in one way or another, that they will actually see that you're not that good after all. And now, of course you are that good after all. But the understanding that we really want to embody is that it doesn't matter what you are doing and what you're not doing, because you're that good either way. You could not be doing anything and you'd still be worthy. And I know you might go like, wow, like that's simple, or that's nice to, it's easy to, easy to say, hard to implement. And I will tell you, yes, it is hard to implement, because you keep on telling yourself that same story, because you keep on perpetuating that same pattern. That is why it seems so hard, because you keep on believing that storyline, that through your performance that your performance, on how well it goes, it says something about how worthy you are. And how does that correlate with your dating life, with your love life, right? So if you're a perfectionistic woman, for instance, who overworks, who puts in the extra hours, who is scared and worried about how other people perceive her, and whether they still see your value, of the value that you work, and in fact your value. If you're a woman like that and you're single, this absolutely has an impact on your love life, because chances are that those same patterns, because it's rooted fundamentally in something very, very deep, often in your childhood, based on my experience, that also seems to be repeated in your dating life. So when we talk about your love life, maybe how this shows is that either you're too busy and try to fill that void of not having a fulfilling love life through overworking, to constantly overworking, to go like, yeah, I don't have time for dating. It has not worked so far. So at least here I'm getting my validation and my approval of me doing a good enough job, right? Whilst here, this has not worked out so far. So let me shine in this area. When in fact, deep down, you do wish for that. You do wish for a fulfilling relationship, don't you? Just be honest with yourself here. Don't you wish that when you come home to your beautiful home, that there is someone there with you who asks you, hey, how are you? How was your day? Come here, lean on me, talk to me, let's do this, let's figure out life together, let's experience life together, let's create a family together. Is that not the case for you? Deep, 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 deep. I'm talking really deep, deep down. Maybe you're not aware of it. Maybe some other things need to happen first. Or maybe you are very aware of it because you already have been in relationship patterns that didn't serve you, that brought out the worst in you, and that did make you feel like you're not good enough or they're not good enough. And if you, let's first cover this first scenario. If you have been in relationship patterns where you didn't feel good enough because maybe your partner did not know how to love you, or they didn't showcase it in a way that made you feel loved, then that perpetuated that pattern of yours, that idea of yours. Okay, I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. And to be very honest, this happened because this is fundamentally how you see yourself and what you believe to be true about yourself. This is your reality. It's not the truth. So we talk in a bit also about on how you can change this and what you want to do. So I'm going to park this here for now. But if that is your reality, that you constantly attract partners that make you feel unloved, chances are, or you're not getting that reassurance from them that you actually crave and that you need in order to feel good enough, wanted enough, desirable enough, chances are that is the love that you need to give yourself first. That there's an internal part of you that screams for that love from you. Now, if you are that people-pleasing, high-achieving people-pleaser, that perfectionist who needs to, make everything right and to live up to that image that you have of yourself, of being that perfect person, and you're dating, and there are also chances that that person that you're dating, that you perceive them to not be good enough, that there's something that is just not perfect with them. Everything is right, but this one thing is missing. And so you keep on focusing on that one thing that is missing instead of embracing all the other great qualities that that potential partner has that you appreciate. And it can also show in the sense of the expectations that you have on your partner in both scenarios, right? If you're approaching life, your work, and your relationships in such a way that they need to be perfect, that what you have to offer and what you have to give, that also needs to be perfect, and therefore you are controlling other people's perceptions and opinions of you, if that is your outset, if that is your baseline, you have that same expectation of your partner or your potential partner. And if they're not fulfilling that, if they're not fulfilling that artificial expectation that you have placed on them, that makes you believe that maybe they're not the one. Maybe they're not the right one. When in fact, you have not figured out yourself to even understand what is important to you. Where does this pattern come from? Why do you need them to be perfect? Why do you have such high expectations on them and actually therefore on you? Because how you interact with your potential partner is how you interact with yourself. That is mirrored. All the relationships that we have, specifically our love relationships, are mirrored or are a mirror of the relationships that we had with our parents and how we perceived ourselves to be in those dynamics. And if you perceived yourself back then to be in the dynamic of, I need to prove myself to be perceived as lovable, to be perceived as good enough, then this is what you're going to show also in your love relationships. And this is why often they have not worked and why you have attracted the same type of people with different names. So earlier I said, we're going to talk about what you can do about it, right? And I'm not here to give you like those typical dating tips that people give to people who are in the dating scene. I really don't think well of these things like, here are 5 tips to make him like you, no? Or make her like you. This is not about that. This goes so much deeper. This goes so much deeper because for you to lead and have a fulfilling relationship with someone else, with a partner that truly loves you, for how you are, you first need to, want to cultivate that relationship with yourself. That's fundamentally where you want to start. And now you might go like, yeah, sure, Janelle, I've understood it all, I know it all. And I'm here to tell you, do you though? Because knowing, really deep knowing, means that you embody that you take the action. Just like you take the action to say yes to everyone else and their needs and what they need, and sure, you can take on another project and whatnot. You want to say yes to yourself first before you say yes to anyone else. Because the most important relationship that you will ever in your entire life have, and the longest, by the way, is the one with yourself. So only when you have figured that one out, when you have created a healthy dynamic within yourself and you really have embodied that, can you attract a fulfilling relationship with someone else. So that is really, really essential here for you to understand. And it sounds very simple, and it is when you know how, but this is exactly where the action taking comes into place. So instead of burying yourself in all sorts of work projects and avoiding the very need and the very desire that you have deep down, instead of doing that, instead of being scared of that fear of being alone or of ending up alone or of, never ever finding a partner that is good enough for you, because essentially you don't feel like you're good enough for yourself, you want to look at that. You want to be just honest with yourself, and you want to take the action steps that are required to get to that place where you can hold yourself, where you feel safe with yourself, where you feel safe with your own emotions, where you feel safe also with the parts of you that you might not like and are most likely difficult to look at. But only when you do that can you integrate all of you into one whole person, and you will understand that you're not perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. No one is perfect. It doesn't exist. And if it exists, it's a completely different definition of perfection than what we are living here as a society. And that is that perfection is integrating all parts of you and embracing all of them, no matter how good or bad you perceive them to be. You're embracing all of these qualities of you because they make you you. So by that very definition, perfectionism is, to me, that you are just being who you truly are. When you allow yourself to be who you truly are, can you communicate in such a way that you don't need to control other people's perception of you anymore, be it at work or in your love life? And hence, as a result, you also don't feel the need anymore to control other people to that extent that you put too high expectations on them, because you have removed these high expectations from yourself, and you also just start to surrender and allow themselves to be them and who they truly are. So to me, perfection is living in a world of authenticity where all of us are just who we truly are, and by us being our real self, we will also attract the people, the partner that provides for us that safe space, that nurturing space, that fulfilling space where we can just be together. And I'm not saying that once you have done this work and you have attracted that fulfilling relationship, that there are not going to be any problems anymore. Everyone will always have problems. I have problems, you have problems, we will all have problems. But what fundamentally has changed is the ways and the quality of how you deal with them, of how you perceive them. So instead of just taking on another work project when you're already anyway completely full on your plate, you just say, sure, I can take it on. What can I drop? Or no, I cannot take it on because I'm busy with this. Or you say, no, I cannot take it on because I also have a private life and I'm actually meeting this person that is very, very dear to my heart tomorrow, and I'm going on a date. Or whatever it is that you're doing. Essentially, this is about you coming home to yourself and about you speaking your truth in all the areas of your life. Essentially, that's what this is all about. You don't need to prove anything about your worth to anyone because you are already worthy. And only when you really deeply embody that, when you act from that place, when you see the world through this lens, when your actions, when this is where your actions come from, you will have established boundaries that serve you, that serve you. And those perfectionistic, people-pleasing tendencies will reside and they will go down, because your body and mind and your soul knows it all along, but your body, mind will have understood that you are good enough just as you are. So let's do a short recap. What did we talk about today? We talked about your need, why people prioritize other people's needs over their own, why they're selfish instead of selfless, and how that impacts their work life, and how that also impacts their love life, especially when they're single people. And if you're already in a relationship, I totally invite you to look at that as well, because it applies as well. And we also looked at ways to change that. How can you change that? Which is fundamentally about being real with yourself and looking at the relationship that you have with yourself. The thing that we talked about is perfectionism is about authenticity, being who you truly are, because when you are that, you attract exactly the right people, your type of people, into your space. So, my beautiful loves, this was for our talk today. Very excited that you're here. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I see you in the next video. Namaste.